Reliable sources on board the orbiting Philadelphia have confirmed that GDI scientists working on biological weapons intended for innocent civilians released a deadly virus into the... Well, this is a surprise.
Please, continue.
Head of GDI forces, General Solomon, is said to have become mentally unstable.
In other news, General Hassan's weak and impotent rule was overthrown today when forces within the Brotherhood rose up to unite Nod under a new leader. Anton Slavik, rescued from death by the spirit hand of Cain, has been vindicated of all crimes against the state. He steps forward now to lead us. Follow him as you would follow Cain.
It's time to finish Hassan.
Cairo, build and protect your base, then take the would-be pharaoh. We have become aware of an imprisoned commander in this region who was loyal to Hassan. Free him and his forces, and they should be sympathetic to our cause and help in the capture of Hassan. The commander may have information vital to your movement. The infidel Hassan has been tracked to this region of Cairo. Build a base and remove the usurper. Establishing battlefield control. Stand by.
Welcome back, Commander. I'm going to preface this with, I'm recording this one, or at least the commentary, out of the normal timeline, just because some errors showed up. Regardless, this is a bonus mission, obviously, but a rather short one. And even though I say that, it's a little bit longer than it probably should. But we'll get into that later. First is actually a spoiler to a late vehicle in the GDI campaign. It kind of makes you wonder why exactly this guy is hanging around and why did he even land in the first place.
Sir, moving out. Unit ready. Unit ready. Waiting.
Now, in case you happen to ever play this yourself, don't ever throw away your attack bikes or lose them, because if you do, you can't get past those sandbags, because the Nod buggy can't actually drive over them, and infantry can't destroy them.
Waiting orders. Sir? Sir. Sir? Sir.
I know I've already spoken about the various cutscenes in the game, and I've been pretty much impressed, or at least I always enjoy the Nod cutscenes more than the GDI anyways. And once again, we see just why that is. How everything plays out, the news anchor being surprised at Oksana being back,
Waiting orders.
and then the subsequent small, short briefing by Cabal, and the odd interjection he puts with regards to his movements. And
Unit lost.
Unit reporting.
you can tell that everybody's the bad guy here, because even their AI wants to apparently
Unit reporting.
take control.
Waiting orders. Waiting orders. One out. Unit reporting. On my way. On my way. Medic! Sir, got it. Waiting orders. On my way.
We've also got this interesting interaction, because you don't ever
Sir.
see this again, I don't think.
Engineering. No problem. Unit ready.
At least, I don't believe there's any other instance of destroying a vehicle generating units like that.
Yes, sir. No problem.
It is a nice little bonus.
Building captured.
Unit ready. On my way. Waiting order.
Building captured.
Unit ready. Moving out.
Training.
Sir. Waiting order. Moving out. Yes, sir.
As you might imagine, it's pretty vital to capture the refinery while the harvester is inside of it.
Building captured.
Else, you're kind of screwed. You don't exactly have access to, your building to build vehicles, otherwise known as the war factory. And I should really be capturing some power plants, but whatever.
Building captured.
I always have this sort of paranoia that the AI is just going to sell all its stuff.
Unit reporting. Yes, sir.
It's hard to determine when it'll actually pull out that strategy.
Yes, sir.
And that was me just trying to make sure that the not buggy wouldn't take out the attack bikes.
Yes, sir.
Again, I can't replace vehicles, so I'd rather keep them if I can. That being said, it's still early in the campaign, so it's not like it'll be a critical issue if we lose them now.
Reporting. Awaiting orders. Orders received. Awaiting orders. Loud and clear. Unit ready.
Unit
Sir,
ready.
unit reporting.
Now, sadly, this is basically the point where the game, or this mission specifically, kind of drags on, and why it's one of the weaker entries in my mind, the entire campaign for Nod.
Captured. Unit ready.
Unit reporting. Awaiting orders.
Basically, if anybody ever, skipped over this mission after the first time they played it, I could totally see why.
Building captured.
Awaiting orders. Infantry reporting. Loud and clear.
Unit ready.
Sir.
It's just, the main issue is that everything
Yes, sir.
takes too much time for it. You have to go into the enemy base, obviously, and rescue the prisoner, but the only apparent way to do so would be to attack from the front, which means you're going to want a lot of rocket infantry. Rocket infantry costs a lot of money, and you don't exactly have a lot to begin with. And they take time to produce and so on. So, by the time you get any sort of active force that can get there, attack the base, free the prisoner, and get out, you've already spent a considerable amount of time. And there's just no proper pacing. Sure, I'm destroying civilian buildings, but if you didn't, if you just sat in your base, you wouldn't really have anything to do.
Awaiting orders.
There's not even anything in the way of harassing the enemy base. They don't have a harvester, at least I don't recall them having one.
Yes, sir.
So there's nothing you can just
Sir.
do to be even annoying.
Sir. 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 Unit ready. Awaiting orders. Yes, sir. Sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, I could probably sell some of my power plants and get myself a little bit of extra cash. I guess I just didn't think of it at the time.
Awaiting orders. Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Admittedly, though, it's not supposed to be. Like, I gripe about it being slow, but my playstyle is also partly to blame. Because I probably have more than enough to comfortably attack the base, especially if you go in from the rear, as I'm going to do.
Yes, sir. Sir. Yes, sir.
Structure.
The idea is simple.
Yes, sir.
Like with most missions that the game has ever produced, or that we've played through, there's multiple ways to attack. In this case, we only have to repair a bridge, and we're given access to the rear portion of the opposing faction's base.
Awaiting orders. Awaiting orders. Awaiting orders. Engineering. Yes, sir. Awaiting no trouble.
Bridge repaired.
Sir. Infantry reporting.
Training.
If it's not obvious, the only reason I have extra engineers is, well,
Infantry reporting.
I'm sure our opponents here have to have a barracks or Hand of Nod to acquire.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, the construction yard would be nice too, but not particularly necessary.
Awaiting orders. Moving out. Yes, sir.
Insufficient funds.
Infantry reporting. Awaiting orders.
So yeah, this is me probably taking it a little too slow. I've got
Infantry reporting.
quite a bit of rocket infantry and a lot of regular infantry to just absorb damage.
Awaiting orders.
Awaiting orders. On my way. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No problem. Yes, sir.
The basic way to do this faster would be to take out the southeastern tick tank, and then as long as you can force your way over to the prison area
You got it.
and destroy one, I think, one quote-unquote vital part, then you're kind of good to go. Obviously, if you're attacking from the rear, though, you kind of have to go. You have to have your prisoner walk all the way around the map, rather than going through the two front gates.
Awaiting orders. Infantry reporting. Awaiting orders. Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Infantry reporting.
Reinforcements.
So yeah, once you destroy one of the laser turrets, it just opens the entire thing up for you.
Lost.
Loading. Infantry.
Unit lost.
Loading.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Heavy fire.
Unit lost.
I'm taking heavy fire. Infantry reporting.
And as long as you have, a couple rocket infantry, all you really need to do is you don't even have to go through the gates. Just bust a hole through the wall, and you're good to go.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Sir. Sir. Yes, sir. Sir. Good as done. Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
I'm on it.
Sir?
Sadly, there's not much else on this map either. It would have been
Waiting order.
maybe a little bit more interesting to have something in the corner. I don't know.
Leave no enemy standing.
Or maybe a little bit more interaction with the civilian.
More change. Awaiting orders. Moving out. Yes, sir. Ready for action.
Insufficient funds.
Where to? No problem. Sir. Moving out. Where to? I will. Sir. Infantry reporting. Sir.
Unit ready.
Waiting orders. Moving out.
Yes. 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 More cane. Yes, sir.
If only I had a subterranean APC I could use.
Training.
Just to make this whole thing a little faster.
Yes, sir. I'm on it. Sir. Yes, sir.
And yeah, maybe it's a little paranoid, but playing on the harder difficulties, the AI is a lot better at controlling its defenses on what or who to shoot, and I don't feel comfortable having the prisoner anywhere near a laser turret.
Sir. Awaiting order. I'm on it. Yes, Kamal. Yes. Infantry reporting.
Unit
Yes,
ready.
sir. Affirmative.
Where to?
Building.
And as soon as our precious cargo boards the Harpy, you're pretty much done.
Construction complete. Mission accomplished. Base under attack.